Good evening, my people, to this, very, very peculiar evening. Welcome to one angry Black Republican podcast. This is episode 7, part 2 of Nation Time. And this particular podcast comes at, a very unique moment in American and world history. This was for us here in New Jersey, the first, I believe, the quarantine, the statewide quarantine really sunk its teeth in last night at 9. And I remember that moment because there was a lot of scrambling around that evening yesterday. I'm talking, it started around maybe 7. I felt it, and that night, one particular instance where a brother, had, I was given a ride to, these two sisters, and the brother, he was supposed to drive them over to Brooklyn himself, but he, he didn't want to, he didn't want to be caught driving after curfew, so that was around, I want to say about 7, and it was a pretty, swift ride, I must say. I mean, between, Newark and Brooklyn, and I've been back and forth, to the city, between the Bronx. I was in the Bronx twice. I was in, moved through Manhattan, to get to those bridges, to get to, when you take the Harlem or the Lincoln or the GW, if you're going to the Bronx, hit the GW. If you go in Midtown somewhere, hit the Lincoln, downtown hit the, that Village Air hit the Holland. So, and literally, it's a ghost town in New York. I never seen New York so quiet, so it's, and New York, New York, it's New York. They've been the center of world attention for decades, years, centuries, whatever. This is New York. So, the city that never sleeps, that kind of fits with my life theme. I got that from Nas. I never sleep, because sleep is the cousin of death. Just hear that, listen to what he's saying. I never sleep, because sleep is the cousin of death, and, in the continuance of this Nation, Tom, part 2 video, podcast, I began the first episode with, a poem, about, Newark's native son himself, rest in peace, Amiri Baraka, who taught a lot of us indirectly, inadvertently, through osmosis, whatever. If you're a Newarker and you real into Newark, you know who Amiri Baraka is, and you know his family. You know his family. So, we are not going to diminish our heroes, which is why, when someone, that's why, sometimes, like when you're working for the people, you gotta set personal relationships aside. It's not, nothing, criticism isn't to be taken personally. It isn't, but when ideas are, opposing, sometimes, we're so determined, especially us black folk, we're so determined to press our idea or our view that, if we don't have, rules of order when having conversations, our passion and energy topples every time. And, it's simple to get into, a simple disagreement that, ends in a shootout. I always used to joke, with the, women I've had the opportunity to engage in this life. I always, reiterated that idea of, you know, unconditional love, because if you don't have that, it's easy, to capsize, and my what I used to always say, but my relationships, I try to anticipate, when they fall in, so I could avoid catching a charge, because sometimes, like I said, we could get real ghetto. That's how we ghetto, and you know what I mean. You already know if you come from that same reality. And so I wanted to say to that, you know regardless of how you may personally feel, politically, what side you're on, this is a powerful moment to set a new mark, because we got some nation building to do. And the head of Newark right now, is Mayor Ras Baraka. So as the head of this, this wing of the American, place, this America, the American, country, our country, the USA. Newark is a fragment of that greater body. Okay, and that body, I learned. Well, it wasn't surprising to me that I was in a back and forth with a woman on Facebook after the video posted, with the brothers, them kids over there in Grafton Ave wilding out, and the police, I was so happy, seeing those police officers, just dancing. You can see in that, those interactions, to the outsider of, that urban, center city experience. To the outsider, it looks, chaotic and frightening. And usually, it's someone of a different, cultural, dynamic, that in that kind of reaction, you're kind of, belittling, the entire history that led up to moments like that, which I'm gonna discuss a little bit in this Nation Time Part 2 discussion. But she, I was, speculating on, the testing of, coronavirus, and ultimately, identification of cases requires, tests to be administered. Telling the population, don't get tested until you see signs of is ineffective in, trying to eliminate, this threat, logically. Because it only makes sense that, the largest city in the state should be like ground zero, and then spread out from there, but, that would require testing. And, well, I don't even get to speculate on that, because there's so many different, ways to slice this particular apple. But, she, jumped, I made that statement, on, Facebook, which they're really just questions, but, it's a process, it's enlightening, and, through dialogue and conversation, but, I said, doesn't it make sense to, test, the highest number of tests should be in Newark. And she said, well, they don't even, they don't even take this serious, everybody, running outside and things. I saw a video. And, I'm so, it was refreshing to see the way that, whole scenario played itself out. Because ultimately, Mayor Baraka the next day, had the young man on live. And, we got, a direct opportunity, to kind of squash that whole, situation, so that, the Facebook community, and it's probably time to start realizing that, how you use Facebook is what's important, not, the structure itself, because it is an effective tool, and we have to use that tool, and we're going to see how important that tool is in these coming months, because I'm gonna get my head out of the, optimistic cloud of thinking that this is going to be a 2-week process. You need to, prepare yourself for the long haul, and ultimately let me give a little anecdote, just so we, get the record straight. Okay. Because, this generation of, quote unquote, savage youth, a moniker they pretty much put on themselves, but, there's a continuous, almost the allure of the bad boy, bad girl culture that didn't start with these kids. Okay. It didn't. I dare to say they inherited it. Okay, they inherited it because the Newark I came up in. My family, we lived on 21st Street, between 20th Ave, Standard, Back Street, 19th Ave, 18th Ave, that whole area up to 16th Ave. That was the battlefield I grew up in. You know what I'm saying? And, just to highlight through one anecdote that I'm going to give, or one story I'm going to share. Actually, I'm going to probably share two. But, just to give you an idea of, the social dynamic of, 21st Street, my section. We came up, we played games like tops outside. It wasn't, odd to see, boots, hanging from the clothes, from the wires up, the telephone wires. And, it was pretty much one of those open market, drug blocks, where we had a lot of drug dealers up and down the block in the community. And, and everyone was connected, and I'm gonna tell, two anecdotes that, will kind of highlight, the point I'm going for in terms of, the pros of that kind of arrangement, because it was no different than being on a plantation, and I'm speculating based off of my, study, because I'm not a slave. I wasn't, I'm a POW more than a slave, but, these two anecdotes is going to kind of like give you a picture of what the, our block was like. And, and I'm sure other areas throughout the city were like this as well. And this is just, and I would say a lot of it isolated to that East Ward, because, when I, got into the high school and started to move out in the greater Newark area, I mean, Newark Irvington area, because that block sits right on the border between Irvington and Newark, which is, why, well, if you're into that, whatever, we all Newark at the end of the day. But, there was this gang, and, called the Avenues. And, I remember, my cousin had gotten into, a little, skirmish or whatever, and all of these, brothers from this, from this gang, kind of followed, him all the way back, to the block, wilding out, like, the whole crowd, like amping up, the fight, and, we had kids that do that today, where, a massive crowd of, angry, excited, wilding youth, walking out, getting ready to amp up a fight. Everybody chasing, or they was walking actually. And, when my cousin got to the block, it's like within an instant, everybody on the block just surrounded my cousin, and it turned into a one of those standoffs. But that image of all of this crew walking around, and you just seeing one dude in the front being chased or whatever, and then a block that would, on any other given day, you could see how separated and fragmented people were. Because at the end of the day, it was a dog-eat-dog community. It was a dog-eat-dog community. There was a just to kind of, telegraph the savagery, of some in that moment. There was this game, this sadistic game that a lot of, they used to play, called, I'm gonna split your lip. You're gonna split somebody's lip today. Think about it. This is a brother who, they get in their knockout game together. And they're looking for people who got braces on their teeth. Like specifically, they're looking for people who got braces on their teeth. Because, they're gonna walk right up on this person. This totally innocent, innocent kid. Just walking down the street, minding his business, feeling, whatever, and this group of wolves sees, this brother, and they see he got braces, and they walk right up on him, and punch him right in the middle of his lips, with the looking to split it, with the the pressure that is going to push onto the braces. I mean, think about how savage a person would have to be, to do that to another human being. Think about how savage that must be. Okay? And, when I hear, children today talk about, being savage, I just laugh sometimes, because I'm thinking, there's savage, and a lot of them, I used to, you use this, if I wanted to be a gangster in a community, I would probably just walk up to a police officer and smack him, ooh, because that's like taboo in the community. It's like, police, a brother will in a heartbeat will pull his gun on another black man, another brother who is his rival or his enemy, and gun him down. Just gun him down, gangster. But then, the police, that same brother, who would do that, to his own, would let a cop arrest him and throw him in jail for life. There's this quote unquote idea of being savage, but then there's that sadistic kind of savagery that could muster up the thought or the idea of splitting someone's lip. Okay, but on the flip side of that, there was a humanism though, and I know it's difficult for some people to understand or handle contradictions, but we're all dealing with contradictions. We have just a visual. We have a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. Okay, the angel on my right shoulder is always whispering to me to try to get me to do right and be right and focus on being responsible to the people. That's my Rihanna voice. So Rihanna, I mean, she got my left ear, pulling, pulling right my right ear, excuse me, pulling. But then I got that devil on the left shoulder. That the seductress who is constantly trying to pull my spirit in a different direction to get me go down this and it used to be I ain't gonna but that's the Lady Gaga. I love me some Lady Gaga. So I mean, she is whispering in that left, trying to pull me into the darker. So we all have those contradictions where we know what's right, and sometimes we even in that context we do what's wrong. So savagery. This idea. So we have a core of individuals in our world that are hardwired there. And even though they're hardwired there, there's that flip side that we all have, that contradiction, that negation, okay? And that redeeming quality, the humanism. We like to have fun. We love to have fun. We party. We party and we bullshit. And anyone can attest to, the level of merriment and cheer and joy that comes with, listening to some good music, being around some good friends that know you. You got some liquor, some smoke, whatever you do, to bring the edge off of a long day out, hunting, gathering. You come to that because you need that to recharge your battery. Okay, so and fellas, we came up hiking on each other. We love that hiking. The dozens, whatever you want to call it, where we talking shit about each other. And we pull pranks on each other. There was a prank that was done on me, back in the block. That's how I got this chip in my tooth. We used to play football in the middle of the block. And, one day we all out playing football, all of the hot boys, they, the quarterbacks, you got brothers goons on the line. We got this, right in the middle of the block, right in the middle of the street. Every time the cars come by, we just, move to the sidewalk, let them go by. So there was this one, game we was playing, football in, a car, because that was also, something that was, came with the savagery, that these kids inherited. Let me say that again. They inherited. Okay. And you got a lot of those brothers, they're doing powerfully positive things right now, but, they'll attest to that as well. That, and I was a part of that too. A really small part. I got lucky, well, I ain't gonna talk about that story now, but, I did get, real lucky, in my 8th grade year, discovering football after having a blowout with my crew. But, so we all playing football, and, stolen. I'm thinking of stolen cars, because I was about to say stolen cars. That was the big thing. And joyriding, hunting for the police. And, once once the police get on you, taking a chase and, peeling out. I mean, so we always looked out for that, because we always knew, somebody was going to show off one night, because they be talking about it, be on the block playing cards, doing whatever. So, car coming around, the corner from the back street, speed around down the block, riding recklessly about the, and then, come to a screeching halt. One of my boys jump out. God rest his soul, in heaven now. But jump out the car and pull a 38 snub nose out. And I'm thinking, I get totally shocked, and then I jump over a car, and my head, my tooth, smashed right against the curb, crack my tooth. Come to find out, everybody else that that kind of telegraphs my kind of naivety, on the block as opposed to others, But as everybody's standing around there laughing, because they already knew what was up. I was the only one that was, exhibiting any terror in the moment, and I got a chip on my tooth, that always draws me back to that moment, our scars. But the point is, these kids in our community that everybody likes to look at and point the finger to, they're our children and they're reflections of us. And we got to own that. We got to stand in defense of that. That's one of the things that has made my career as a teacher, tumultuous, because I'm always on the side of the people. And administrators know that from day one, because I'm very transparent. But you got this real egotistical reality that goes on amongst, these professionals. Like, principal isn't your boss. Let's get out of that corporate mentality, first of all. Principal ain't your boss. Your principal is your partner, a fellow stakeholder in the process, because we're on a battlefield. I always look at education as our battlefield. Okay? A teacher has empathy and compassion and drive and motivation, and they walk in there every day, no matter, what they're dealing with. And they throw on, the best part of them every day. For the children they're working with, the families they're working with. So when this quarantine, really got serious, and we started getting to the point where, these kinds of measures had to be in place. It's easy for, people, who are, living in very rhythmic situations, to handle moments like this of crisis where, no one, you would have had to be, many families would have had to be saving up for months to get, a hold on a situation like this, to be able to have the resources to manage your responsibilities for 6 months. Okay? And there's a culture, that comes in different realities. And we live in a very, very, aggressive reality in our community. So, to go at parents and say, okay, your children now are gonna be home, for the next 2 weeks. So I'm hearing parents and they're wrapping their minds around, that reality. And I have 3 grown children who are beautiful. Okay, so I can empathize with parents who are, at the beginning of the process. I can. Which is why, when I hear the voices, oh my God, could you please, brother, just, pull over at this liquor store so that I could, because I got to get me some, they shutting down the damn this and, how they going to keep my kid out of school for two? I don't, there are some people that are flipping out. And when you sitting back comfortable, it's easy to, not have any empathy, and not even have the decency to express it. There's something called emotional intelligence. And some of us really need to practice that. Emotional intelligence, trying to recognize, the range of emotions in any particular, moment with people and using self in those moments to maintain a balance. That an emotional balance, that's important. Or emotional intelligence. You know, somebody if somebody cries out in your presence, your instinct should say, they're reaching out to me in this moment. They're reaching out. And if you know the people and you know the community and you know what you're dealing with, you're a teacher standing in front of kids who are, who are in reckless situations sometimes. You know what it took for, this kid to walk up to me and ask, in the middle of a crowded, middle school lunchroom. These kids look at every individual in the in the enterprise in the institution. They know everyone. They know the secretaries. They know they know the custodians. And I'm talking about they know them. And the people they don't know. Teacher, I don't care who it is. The people they don't know is suspect. Your humanism is suspect. And think about what it takes. This kid is teetering between, joining the gang and trying to do the right thing because the teacher's saying, is constantly pushing that message. Think about the strength it takes. No additional resources can be pulled out of that household because everything is utilized. Sometimes anger sometimes builds up. It's not the parents' fault. It's not. You can't bludgeon a parent because jobs are scarce. Yeah, you could look at other behaviors and try to make assumptions, but the reality is you gotta learn. We have to learn to carry our own water. Carry your own water. You gotta learn that. You gotta practice that. A lot of kids don't have that yet. So you have this. Imagine this kid walks across, and you can see him walking over to you. And this kid is all thug, and he's walking over to you. Hey, yo, Mr. Clark, man, can I ask you a question? Yeah, go ahead. What's good? I want to join up for basketball, and I want to know if you know a place where I could get a uniform that I could and I could maybe figure out a way to get up some money. Those are the moments, as a educator, okay. Those are the moments that challenge your character. They challenge your spirit. They challenge, who you are. They challenge your core. Some people will be like, well, you can't help everybody. So you develop some effective way to, dodge, bullets, so to speak. Because all your eyes are on is the prize of your own, efforts. You know, I got my own, ship to, and this is a part of that. You got some people on that, you know. All right, let's figure this out. But I got you, little man. I'm gonna get your uniform for you. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Pay it forward. You see, that's my response every time. Every time. Kid, beginning of the school year, hit me up on Instagram, Miss Clark. Could you, they won't let me in school because I don't have a uniform. Could you help me? All right, I got you. That don't happen all the time. Only a few times when children notice your humanism and they know you there for them, regardless, no matter what. You took on that role. You took on that responsibility. Every child can learn. Every child. And every child deserves the best of your ability. So, and then another caveat I want to throw in there is special education. The horrible battlefield of that. Where teachers are just, getting frustrated with sometimes, behaviors that they just can't connect with or empathize with. So they resent it. And then they start to develop a different spirit that children recognize. So you're taking all of these emotions, these, oh my God, he's ADHD. Okay, so now let's look at it. If he's ADHD, one, and then at the same time, he's now being bottled up in a house, apartment, sometimes a studio apartment, 1-bedroom apartment, and can't leave those walls at all, under no circumstances. And this is multiplied, block after block after block. The music that's promoting, savage behavior. Oh, Mom, forget it. I ain't staying in there. I'm going, and walk out the door and slam the door. Think of the crisis moment for the parent. It's easy to beat up a parent who's struggling and then come up with all kinds of ways to sidestep responsibility for doing something. You can't get into a field of education if you're not about making personal sacrifices. You can't. It will never work. And so many of our kids are in situations like that. So there's a rage in Harlem. So when I say I'm extremely proud of the Newark community this first day of the quarantine, because all of those parents had to deal with their own little variations of that reality. And they pulled it off, like a military brigade. Because it was, yes, there was a couple of incidents, 1 or 2, whatever, but, for anybody that knows the Newark I came up in, they know that was a hell of a feat to pull off. Okay. And going back to this whole idea, this block parent idea out of this nation time, theme, to have Mayor Raz Baraka at the head of this ship in this moment, we're blessed. And, so we gotta have enough humility. And there's a word we have to reintroduce into our vocabulary: edification. We gotta learn how to always edify each other first before you criticize. Edify, then criticize if you have to. We gotta do that. We gotta practice that. Edify. So learning how to we got to get our bitter anger and rage out of the equation. And yes, we have anger, and yes, we have rage, and yes, it has to be reconciled. But in this moment, and moments like this where, our greater humanism is being called to task and to bear, we have got to meet the challenge. So, big shout out, to Mayor Raz Baraka, because yes, your city responded. And we would, you just, you see, is a simple hater, has no ability to see beyond the hate. Which is why, some of the individuals, that, are standing in defense of, your enterprise. It looks zealous when, when we can't be logical. Okay. So once the mudslinging starts, it's like, you got people who just, are dealing with all of that, those years of, built up, conditioning, that leads us to, to quote unquote, killing each other, when beef happens that we can't, look beyond. So great job, Newark. I'm proud of Newark. It was, like I said, it was a couple of incidents, but on the backdrop of what I just was, trying to outline, for there to be a few incidents, to take place, and that was done without the National Guard. And in this moment, that is what concerns me the most, the National Guard. We don't have a military that, has a humanist button. These people are trained, killers, and they're here to. And I'm not saying that in a negative sense. Okay, they're gonna, defend themselves and their company in any particular engagement. So a lot of people in other communities and other cultural realities, from other cultural realities, don't know how to empathize in many cases with, the happenings in our community. So, when you're coming into the community and you're, coming to provide order or establish order, it is your responsibility to know the people you're dealing with. Okay? And know their history, know their culture, because if you don't, then you're not going to be like those cops were that night. When that young man was running around, it looked savage out there. It did. But to see the mayor the next morning with the brother, that's testament to a mayor that's hands-on. So hands-on community. And, Raz has always been that. And, we're gonna make sure that, we are attempting, all of us, to set aside the differences and to think nation building. Okay, so with that effort in mind, I want to share. Okay, a couple of, I've been in education, all of my adult life. And I'm talking about as a parent and as a teacher. So there's some things I can help and offer. Because this is going to be a process that requires behavior to be reconditioned. You gotta write that down. Behavior has to be reconditioned. Okay, and as a teacher, there's two, of my quote unquote Bibles, that I utilize in the classroom that I picked up, studying education at Rutgers. And one is called, positive, assertive discipline. That's it. Assertive discipline. Lee and Marlene Cantor. Okay. That's a book that, will help you, whether teachers or parents, it helps you create, a a social hierarchy, so to speak, a behavioral hierarchy, so that kids respond to structure. They respond to order. They respond to uh, organization. Okay, and they also adapt to disorganization. So they respond favorably to organization, and they are unfavorable and sometimes rebellious and unruly, depending on how long that is allowed to, condition them. So in this nation time or, process, our first thought, or, the first thought I want to, at least share, you gotta begin a process of reconditioning. No matter where you're coming from. I don't care how deep the rabbit hole goes. Climbing out is one step at a time. You might have a combative relationship, with your child who tends to marginalize every effort made. And yes, kids can be aggressive and biting like that. But procedure and routine. And it could be as simple as when you get up. This is the first responsibility, because while they're home, home now becomes the school. Home now becomes the classroom. So they have got to have that ability to make those readjustments. So that between these hours, you have a schedule. So when now you don't have to go as far as making them get up and well, I think it would help, but get up in the morning as normal, get prepared. If breakfast is supposed to be cooking, and one is doing this, they got to go through that whole routine in the morning. Whole routine. And then whatever your schedule looks like for the day, I look at their schedule. Okay, from this time to this time, I'm gonna be doing social studies. This time I'll be doing math. But so you have to establish those routines. And if everybody in the community is doing it, then we're reinforcing each other's enterprise. Okay. Those routines become important in reconditioning the behaviors that can be explosive during this long haul, because like I said, this is only day one. Okay. And I was very prepared to say A+ all the way for day one, but this one incident again, like the other incident, I don't want to. In other words, this isn't a moment to blow things out of proportion and be hyperbolic. Okay. So yes, there was an incident that took place on Osborne Shepherd, and so it required a police action, but that's all it was. It wasn't National Guard. Okay. So because one brother, my brother Sean Williams, he pointed that out to me. Sharing on Facebook the pictures or whatever. And I went over there. I wanted to see with my own eyes, and literally, like I said, quiet. Afterwards. So because of that incident. And then there was another, sister, Manira, who, pointed out there was, stabbings and shootings going on still. And I'm saying, when you look at the overall picture, okay, it was a glowing moment, okay, for Newark in this situation, because, I didn't see any difference between. And literally, during this lockout process, I've been in Brooklyn, I've been in the Bronx, I've been in Pennsylvania, I've been in, North and Southern New Jersey. Okay, Jersey City. There was some scramblings in Jersey City last night as, police, muscled their way into some situations. So there was some incidents, but, I saw it relatively exactly the same. And I heard, people from Pennsylvania to, I had to pull into a Wawa in Pennsylvania, yesterday, and literally the Wawa like had you couldn't get any self-made drinks. They kept the doors open, so that people didn't have to put their fingers on the door on the handles. So and they were talking about it. And I'm talking about and they were and this community wasn't black. Let me just say that. I was looking for them. And I stand out like a sore thumb in many of these places. Okay, so and I'm like a respectful, Yogi Bear type. With nonetheless a bear. It's ironic. Bernard means bold as a bear. But so and they were talking. Everybody, oh my God, such and such had to shut down, and this one had to shut down, and I'm talking about from Pennsylvania to New York through New Jersey. So, the people are, and think about it like this, there's so many communities that, they run so smoothly, that this moment isn't going to feel, as tumultuous as it will to others who have more acute needs that arise, specifically. So in this particular moment, it is incumbent upon us as a, nation, to at least pay attention to one another enough so that the people who are in the most need can be considered. Okay, let me say that again. The people who have the most need, the more specific needs, have to be considered first. Okay, and while residents wait around for government assistance, and no, it's wise to use government assistance at this point. Okay, this whole entire country is changing right before our eyes. Now, what it's changing to? We only could keep moving forward to determine that. That's all we can do, and we have to do it together. And so parents, my heart goes out, and I'm in prayer that people who are in stable positions, like we should be thinking, organizing, the individuals and the people on your block. So this is a moment for the reigniting of block organizations. Okay, we need those block mothers in those windows, pushing people to do the right thing. Because there's still an element of the community that, because of maybe their physical needs, might push in moments to violate, okay, curfew. And I saw some blocks where, some brothers was, hanging out doing whatever, and that's where we need those, block parents. Come on, we got babies on, we got, the elderly on the block. My cousin, we got to talk to each other and feel comfortable talking to each other. This is a moment where we could, utilize, Facebook effectively, Instagram. Okay, we could use these tools, to communicate. You get a little information over here and you pass it along to somebody else. Those are the type of things we need. And then, going back to, the reestablishment of routines and procedures, in the home to support, the whole child. The child that's going to be frustrated, the child that's going to be handling, these changes as best they can, cold turkey, so to speak. Okay, first 100 days of school. Harry Wong, Rosemary, another, it was another text I would use, one of my Bibles in the class. Parents, you could, do a search, because there's large segments of each of these texts, that you can utilize to start, putting yourself, because we have to, with that change, comes the way we interact. That has to be adjusted too. Okay, we have to get out of the, yelling and berating to get our point across and to get action, and move into a, not to say that we all, engage in that kind of reality. Quite a few do, but I won't say no names. But we have to start, providing instruction, being very assertive in, what we're looking, the behavior we're looking for. When he starts whining or she starts complaining, you say, listen, we don't got time for that. Let's get this work done. Let's get these chores done. Let's get these, and there's plenty of things you can be doing. I don't care if you're in a, I've seen, listen, I was in Africa, and I seen in a shanty town, and I saw, or what they call a shanty town, and I saw, the most, disorganized of makeshift, housing, structures, that, and regardless of what the conditions were, there were mothers in the community, with brooms and sweeping out. I don't care what the environment looks like. You clean and you organize so that you're keeping down on the spread of this whatever, if that is even. I'm not even gonna go into my conspiracy because I gave a podcast on that already. So it's the flip side. If all's good. We're really experiencing this this paradigm shift. We have to look at the opportunity in it. We all knew we needed to to do some changing and some readjusting. Okay, we knew that. We've never not known that. And that's the beauty of our people. When and you've been through the process, you got that empathy. So you look for that empathy in society. You oftentimes don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Because, some people at the extremes of any particular group, tries to look at, the behaviors and the conditions in our community, and, they're ready to throw a Molotov cocktail into our spirit, as opposed to an olive branch of, to at least try to understand, but, I think our people are beyond, trying to, seek affirmation from anyone. I've always, got that feeling, when, engaging, our people. I don't need, to go outside of that in order to, feel fulfilled in this life. Okay? Some people live for the title. I don't. Never did. Okay? Not about that. Okay? I've always been about the people. To die for the people. Okay? Turn procedures into a game. Turn the procedures into a game. Have rewards, point systems set up. Do a little chart on your wall. Have the chore chart points. This is how they could accumulate things. I don't care if it's an IOU. Okay, I owe you. And yes, we use goods and services sometimes to, cause we got to get out of that. Because our children should just understand, the importance of doing the right thing at all times. And then parents projects. Okay? Make them do a PowerPoint presentation of, what are you an expert in? And do a PowerPoint presentation to teach it to somebody. I don't care if it's, making the ideal and exquisite turkey and cheese sandwich or grilled cheese, and they got to do a step-by-step presentation, a step-by-step poster on that task. Create a map of your block. Okay, things that can help us in this moment. Create a map of your block. Do a chart. Write everybody's house down. Do write down the names of everybody that lives in each of the houses. And I know, some people are going to be, standoffish, like people in their business or whatever. And it's going to take us, some time probably to get into that, real hardcore, community nation, building process. But, I'm going to end this podcast with this. Newark, we are good. And I think we're in the right hands. I know we're in the right hands, under the leadership of Mayor Ras Baraka right now. And I want us, to, let's just listen. Let's just follow directions. Let's not be resistant. We're always going to question. We're always going to talk. We're always going to engage. And we're going to criticize. But if we learn, how to use the art of edification, let's reintroduce tact. Don't say nothing, about someone if you don't have something good to say, don't say nothing at all. Walk away. Keep to yourself. If we bear down and get our heads in the right space, this is gonna be a long haul. I think after today, I think we got this. Newark. So, the initial weight of it. We can exhale a little bit and let's just knuckle in and be, ready to respond, with every day's changes. Peace out.